Hey, are we back up? Hey guys, I think we're back up. I think. Can y'all hear me now? Hey guys, I think I'm back. I think. Can you hear me? Poop. Oh man. Sorry, my my internet died. Full blown crash. Oh man. Oh, I've lost everybody. Sorry guys. Sorry. My internet just, I'm at a hotel and my internet just completely went down. So I'm oh man, I can't believe that happened. Well, I can, because oh. Hey, welcome back as we trickle back in, guys. I'm so sorry for that. I'm trying to wait for see if anybody else is gonna come back in. My internet just completely blacked out on me. Don't know what happened. It just straight up died. I'm sitting. I'm at a hotel and apparently somebody else got on the internet or something because it completely just said you cannot play anymore, and so that stunk. I think we had like 8 people in here, which is pretty good for me. I was happy with it, man. We're having some good talk. See if anybody else comes back. Oh man. So where were we? I'll just start talking again and we'll. All right, we're starting to trickle back in. I'm sorry, guys. I do apologize. Oh man. So, as I did mention earlier, the what do you do about the stones after Endgame? How do you what do you do with those? Because Sinister Six, that's right. Sinister Six, I had, and you had 9. I had 9 in the Sinister Six. You got some problems. I mean, with the Sinister Six because you got Craven. Hey, they're talking about doing a Craven movie, but they're talking about doing the Craven movie over on as a standalone. So so I think that's going to be I think that's possibly going to be a problem. And can Craven carry his own movie? I guess if they do it right, he could. But you got Mysterio. We're tracking Vulture and Mysterio. I mentioned Craven, Doc Ock. We can't. There's certain characters from the original Spider-Man trilogy that eventually we're going to have to get back to. Eventually, Peter Parker is going to have to, I guess, go to college, and we're going to have to see Doc Ock. We're going to. How do you do a Sandman? I've thought possibly that Sandman could be one of these elementals that we're going to allegedly see in Far From Home, but I don't know if I don't think that's really going to fit. So Electro, yeah, how are we going to work him in? So there's still some work to do. I mean, maybe you substitute the Scorpion for one of those, but I mean we're going to get a Sinister Six, and it's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward more to Far From Home than I am Captain Marvel. I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but I'm more excited about that movie, really than I thought I. Well, no, yeah, I mean, I love Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I've really enjoyed it. I need to go back and watch Homecoming again. I think I've only seen it like a couple times, but it's one of those movies that is funny. I mean, it's an enjoyable movie to watch, but unfortunately, until recently, I don't think I had any time to watch movies. And most of the time when I go see a movie, it's like midnight. Go to the late showing after the kids have gone to sleep and stuff. But oh man, so Aquaman, definitely a recommend. I enjoyed the storyline better on Aquaman than I did the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse, a lot of my complaints you can quickly argue away by saying, well, that's not that Spider-Man. That Spider-Man's from a different universe. And you can do that a couple times with that and it not be a big issue. Hate that this went down because I felt like we were rolling, man. But man, my they do need to drop the Far From Home trailer. Absolutely, you are completely and utterly right on that. For some reason, the texts weren't popping up on this other one, so I'm a little bit behind. I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. Just missing Kraven, Sandman, Doc Ock. Yep. Was that the Chameleon or the Scorpion that they introduced? I thought it was the Scorpion. They introduced at the end of Homecoming. And that trailer needs to drop. I mean, what are they waiting on? I mean, there's absolutely no reason to keep that trailer back anymore unless they've botched something on it or put something out that maybe I can't imagine why they haven't released it yet. What event is coming up? Unless they're gonna maybe release it during the Super Bowl, but typically the Super Bowl's had your teaser for. That's around when they put out a teaser for Star Wars. Typically, if it's a Star Wars year, which 2019 is, be getting Episode 9 in December. So that's a. MCU should ignore the Infinity Stones until Kang the Conqueror. Maverick, you're my new best friend, man. Kang the Conqueror has to show up. That's why I want villains like Annihilus and Galactus to show up. Thanos is the least problem. I agree. They don't necessarily have to, get rid of Thanos. That's been who's going to kill Thanos. They don't have to get rid of Thanos. Thanos can, go back and defeat. Lose the gauntlet, whatever, and that's cool. He can go and still exist and be a threat out there in the universe. Had decimate his army or whatever, make him have to rebuild from nothing, but there's no reason he can't come back and do it again later. The Annihilation storyline is a really good one where, and Annihilus isn't a character that a lot of people are familiar with, but the Negative Zone where Annihilus resides is actually one of the little nuggets, I believe, on Dr. Selvig's big. I think it's in the Dark World. The Dark World has a ton of Easter eggs that are coming out that tie directly to the quantum realm and the and all that. So as painful as I know, that's like really low on a lot of people's list, Thor: The Dark World, but it's got a lot of good Easter eggs in there that I recommend checking out. One of them is the Negative Zone. It's on the board. Selvig, I think he's probably doing it without pants. I mean, he might have pants on at that point. I don't think he went totally crazy at that point, but he's drawing everything out on this giant chalkboard. And if you stop that frame, there's so many good nuggets in there. Absolutely, that's how you also introduce Nova. I think you can get Nova into Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think he can. I think it could be his entry vehicle. There's so many things out there for the Guardians to do moving forward. And if that's probably going to be their last movie, even if you change the team up, I mean, you can carry the Guardians of the Galaxy forward with a new team. And maintain, you keep, I mean, honestly, look at it from a dollars and cents perspective. You keep a Rocket Raccoon around. Why? Because he sells merchandise. Groot, the same way. He said, Groot stuff sells. So if you take a couple of characters, you mix up the team. If Drax for Drax, his whole driving purpose is to kill Thanos, he would be completely content if he did that, and he could die and be done with it. In the comic books, actually, they just had the Fallen Guardian, and Drax, after Gamora in the comic books actually kills Thanos, and after that, Drax ends up being the one to save the universe from collapsing by making a self-sacrifice. And it's actually really good. It's actually, well, I don't want to say it's really good. It's a pretty good comic book storyline. Gamora with the Infinity Stones was really not that. I wasn't very impressed. But if you haven't, I've done all the Infinity Countdown and all of the Infinity Wars videos. So if you're not familiar with those, man, go check them out. I had a lot of fun doing those. Roasted some of them pretty bad because they had some really bad ones in there, but it's all in good fun. The man, what else? Let me scroll through the comments. Yeah, Thanos is definitely not dying. He'll be around. I hope so. And it's Marvel, so just because we kill someone doesn't mean they're dead. Let's see. Northern Infinity Stones. Kang the Conqueror would be a good villain coming forward. And there was the, who is Kang the Conqueror? And they always try to tie it to somebody from our era. I mean, in the comic books, it's been a couple different people. But Kang the Conqueror would be a great, good. But the problem with him is the time travel piece, where he's conquering timelines basically. To where there's, in the end, there'll only be Kang. He would be. I think Annihilus would work better than Kang because it's honestly less confusing. Annihilus in the Annihilation Wave would be good. Ultimately, Nova was the key to defeating him. Thanos actually, Drax actually killed Thanos in that storyline. So it'd be interesting. I don't know, the Inhumans. Even in the comic books, I never could get into them. They just weren't my real cup of tea. When I was reading comics, it was in the 90s. Late 80s, 90s, and I, sided with mutant kind, especially, I'm the guy that, hashtag Cyclops did nothing wrong, so I'm just not I don't buy into the Inhumans. Like, I think they could use them going forward. I think it'd be smart to, because with the, the Eternals movie that's in the works. You could draw out the Inhumans. I don't know why they did that TV show, because it did not make a lot of sense, and I they could, out of all the things they were going to do, I'm is it them thumbing their nose at Fox because they don't own the X-Men, maybe, but the Inhumans have never been the success that the X-Men were, even though Marvel seriously, turned away from them and did everything they could to toss them aside. And I'll still go back, and I can't wait till my kids are a little bit older and we can go watch the X-Men animated series. That show was awesome. And to me, that's the X-Men, right? That's your team that matters. Not, I mean, the one now just is, the X-Men comics are so cringy, especially Jean Grey's, but that's a whole nother story. I thought they attempted to make a movie, but it fell through. You talk about the Inhumans movie, yeah. I wouldn't doubt it. Is anybody excited about Dark Phoenix? Now, we've mentioned several other MCU based movies, but is anybody really excited about that movie coming out? The X-Men cartoon was absolutely the best. Absolutely. I still remember sitting in the living room watching that. That's the darn. I must have watched the first episode with the Sentinels going after Jubilee. I must have watched that about 100 times. So, but is anybody excited about Dark Phoenix? Yeah, never seen an X-Men movie, man. The first two weren't bad. Last Stand I wasn't really a fan of, and they lost me at X-Men First Class when they did the for some reason with Kevin Bacon as the bad guy in that movie. It took me out of it. I was like, I just couldn't do Kevin Bacon as bad dude. X-Men are now. An Illuminati movie would be great, and honestly, the Illuminati movie could lead us to World War Hulk if they really wanted to. With the Illuminati coming together and deciding that the Hulk has gotten to the point where he's just too dangerous, he can't be controlled, and they launch him into space on a secret mission he's the only one that can fix whatever, and then they jettison him off into space. And they did take some elements of that in Thor Ragnarok with the murder world, or the battle world that Hulk ended up on in the arena for the Grandmaster. But the storyline is obviously a whole lot different in the comic books, where he comes back to exact revenge on the Illuminati and everybody that did it to him. And I mean, I hope they do the Fantastic Four. It's been rumored that there's a Doom movie that they're working on, and honestly, you can't do Doom without Reed Richards. The two are very intertwined. But I think you can do a good Doom movie, and I think the MCU is set up right now for an introduction of Doom. Which, if you guys, I can go into it, and we can I can kind of talk through some of the ideas about it. But you just had Sokovia, right? So imagine if you're going in, you have everything that's happening in Sokovia, basically on a bunch of screens, and you have somebody come in and say, you need to see this immediately, sir. And Victor Von Doom, not masked out or anything, turns around and he says, immediately activate my military. He's basically immediately, once the Avengers, once this chunk of rock goes up in Sokovia, he's a neighboring country. He immediately activates everything, and he is the face of the recovery effort there right off the bat. And he actually makes a comment like, and within 24 hours, I want our soldiers saving children on cameras worldwide, on video screens showing our soldiers from Latveria saving children in Sokovia. Do you understand? And immediately, and then you get Thunderbolt Ross, the next scene sitting in front of watching the news, and you actually have Latvian soldiers saving children and stuff. And he can do Doctor Doom would be such a great character for this, and that's his insert. And then not only that, he recovers Ultron. He starts recovering the Ultron bots. Those Ultron bots are a perfect fit to be his Doom bots. And he can he can actually start taking it. He can start recovering some of the vibranium, and he make his suit out of it. He has the tie back to the magic, where he has that relationship with his mother is the one who introduced him to the magic, while his dad was in the comics. It goes a little bit back and forth, but have him have the heritage that his dad was king. He was dethroned. He came back and took the country, kind of thing. But have him gathering those Doom bots and using them, having him repurpose that technology and make it to where he's an absolute genius, right? Where he can do anything, but they always say he lacks the creativity. He can always take somebody's invention, like the Ultron bots, and he can make them better, but he lacks the getting it started kind of thing. And maybe that's why him and Reed Richards had their big falling out or whatever, is because of something like that, where he ends up getting kicked out of school, and actually not considered a doctor because his work is considered plagiarism. Something like that. I don't know. I think that Doctor Doom can be an absolute great movie because you can tie into it. Tony Stark never really had any fallout. There was never really any fallout for what Tony Stark caused other than the Sokovia Accords. He was never punished. They do also have Latvia be the neighbor country, and after the events of Age of Ultron, Doom is Avengers set up Doom versus... Oh, absolutely. And that's what... if he goes out, he can go after Tony Stark. He can release something, like he gets into those bots, he rediscovers Ultron. I actually had the idea where what was it? Because Dr. Latveria and Wakanda are at each other's throats all the time too. So let me follow my train of thought, because I had a bunch of ideas on this a while back. Let me see if I can pull my notes up real quick. He starts putting the Doom bots back together and reactivates them, and actually can recover them. And when he does that, he's able to piece together the shared conscious of Ultron. And he starts talking to him. He's cut off. He's got him cut off from the internet, and he can't spread or anything. But he starts talking to him, and he asks him, where'd you get the vibranium? And he tells him about Claw, who at this point in the timeline would still be alive. He hadn't died at the hands of Killmonger yet. But you have him and Claw working, and he's actually the one. You remember how Claw got he said it's a repurposed mining tool in his arm, that his blaster arm in Black Panther. I'd like it to be that he gave Dr. Doom the material, and Doom is the one who actually made it into a blaster. Oh yeah, when Namor shows up, he'll absolutely have the beef with Wakanda. But Latveria and Wakanda went to war. I forgot what series that was, but they went to war as well. Yeah, if Namor comes in, that raises a whole nother pot as far as the Atlanteans are. You can't ever tell if Namor's a good guy or a bad guy. I think most recently, he was in the. They just did the. I haven't done the comic review on it though. They just did the Defenders comic, and he was in it, and his character is actually written pretty well in it. Doom. All right. I'll just read this because this is if I was working on this, and it's really fun for me to do this. All right. So check this out, and y'all. So you got Doom. He's a child, and his mother is explaining to him how special he is. His mom looks at him and says, "Your father is a great man, but he limits himself because he chooses not to believe." And Doom turns and asks, "Believe in what, Mama?" And she waves her hand and does just some very minor magic, nothing Stephen Strange-ish, but a flash on the fingertips, a little enchantment kind of thing. And she responds in things that he cannot explain, in things he doesn't understand. "Your father's a great man, but someday you can be the greatest." And she just looks up and smiles, and then it rolls the opening, Marvel credits, right? So during the blank screen, you hear the sirens, and you hear the radio and all the police calls of Sokovia, and the movie starts with a phone camera of all the chaos going on in Sokovia. And you got the Ultron attack going on, people screaming, and then go to a set of giant doors, and a man bursts through them and says, "Your Highness, you need to see this immediately." Doom immediately turns around, says, "Mobilize everyone. Every man is called to duty. Prepare food, water distribution, everything. Before the nation can so much as hold a meeting, I want pictures of Latvian soldiers saving children from the wreckage. Do you understand? General, recover as many of those robots as you can." And he gives them a point to store them and bring me my team. And you get a couple of the special ops guys, maybe a couple with the 10 rings on, basically like an ambassador with the 10 rings. Somebody that he's worked with before on the mystical side of things. Then about 24 hours later, you jump to General Ross, like I talked about, Thunderbolt, watching the news, and you have all the fallout from the disaster going on, and you actually see the scene of Latvian soldiers pushing back wreckage, and the way I imagined it was a Latvian soldier reaching down and picking up a child, and a child wrapping her arms around him and everything, and then it actually comes. The commentator said, "This breathtaking image brought me to tears seeing this soldier." And then you have the soldier actually with a tear rolling down his cheek, and just everything. But and then Ross makes the comment about stopping these overpowered harbingers of death. And then while he's watching it, Ross catches him covering up with a blanket one of the Ultron bots, and he picks up the phone and immediately calls the UN ambassador and says, "We gotta get control of those robots immediately." So from there, you jump to a warehouse where you can see the Latvians bringing in and stacking these robots, and they have hundreds of them, and they're bringing them in, they're dumping them, and then they're throwing material on there for water, food, all that stuff. But then when the UN inspectors show up and they go in to search the building, there's only a couple dozen of them, and you find out that Doom is actually using his mystic arts side of the house to transport these robots back to his own warehouse in Latveria. And so in there, later on, he finds pieces of Ultron after connecting several of the machines. And finally, you just hear Ultron in an all-black screen just go, "Oh, okay, there I am." And it says, "Hey, who are you?" And Ultron's obviously glitchy and got working through some issues, and he says, "Let's just say I'm a friend." And anyways, that's kind of where I'm at on it. And from there, he actually gets the "What are you?" And he says, "Well, I'm Ultron." And who made you? When he asked who made you, and he said, Ultron just looks at him and says, well, it's quite a story. And that's where you can get the political fallout of solid proof that the whole catastrophe was created by Tony Stark. So, anyways, I got some more on it, but that's kind of where what I'd love to see on a movie like that, on a Doom movie. But I don't know. Who knows? And honestly, after the success that Aquaman just had, can Marvel come out and do a Namor movie? Absolutely. I actually talked about Mephisto last night. That if they broke up the stones, if the stones went somewhere else, how much sense it would make that that Mephisto ended up with the Reality Stone. Because in so many of the storylines that involve Mephisto, all right, brother, hey, have a good one. Thanks for coming and hanging out. But in so many of the storylines that involve Mephisto, it's exactly what he does: is he's altering reality. One More Day, that gouged myself in the eye storyline, is one that comes to mind right off the bat. Where when people approach Mephisto or he approaches them, he always promises them something at a cost, and he basically alters reality. So I thought him having the Reality Stone would be very interesting. It'd be a good introduction because there's so many storylines that flow through Mephisto. The Ghost Rider, he was a big bad guy in the Silver Surfer movies or Silver Surfer comics. So and of course Doctor Strange. He'd be a good one to come into the Doctor Strange movie. Just don't sell him as the devil, but sell him as the some things that we believe, while they are true, the images we get from these, or the images we conjure of these individuals, are also true, and something like that, and kind of separate it from. I think you have to make a big attempt to separate it. I just got the text that the kiddos are finally asleep. I'm pretty sure my wife's listening to the live stream, so I love you. And good night. Yeah, I'm traveling right now, for those who didn't know. So I hate being away from home. But Mephisto, it would be a character that could definitely add some different things to the MCU. I'd like to see Ghost Rider done right. Ghost Rider was one of my favorites growing up. I don't know, something about it. Just I always really liked it, and I don't see Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. I just can't do it. Let's see. Let me come over here. I think I can. I'm afraid to close that one. Well, guys, I think I'm gonna finally call it. I think I've culminated for the evening. I've got to Ghost Rider Midnight Suns. Yep, that was a good book. It really was. Blade. Blade was awesome. Blade is underrated in the in Marvel, and then actually Morbius. I've heard that they're doing a Morbius movie. Yeah, that would be that would be good. I mean, those are the characters that they were just good characters. I don't think they're going to do a Sleepwalker movie. I just got done doing my reviews on the Sleepwalker series, and man, I really like. I remember him from back in the day, but I just got done reading 4 books of Sleepwalker, and I really like him. Him and Darkhawk. Darkhawk, man, Darkhawk was a good book, and the new one was absolutely. I mean, it was awesome. It made Infinity Countdown worth it for me when I read that series. So I'd like to see those guys do a. What other characters do we? I mean, what other characters do we have out there that we know we're going to see shortly? I would say Nova. I would say probably all these Galactus rumors. I could see Galactus in the MCU, and actually I talked about this a little bit. I think they've kind of retconned some of the lore, regarding where Galactus gets his power cosmic that he bestows upon everybody, because in Sleepwalker #2, they actually talked about Sleepwalker was traveling through the stones, and when he did it, he actually he ran this guy named Dynamis, who was he was the living embodiment of the power cosmic, and that but he was inside the stone. So by doing that, they inferred that the power cosmic comes from the power stone. So that's a whole. If that's the case, then Galactus and the purple power stone are simply meant to be. So, oh man, if we would go into the X-Men as far as being in the MCU, there was supposed to be a Gambit movie with that dude who was in G.I. Joe. What's his name? Oh man, I'm horrible at this. I'll tell you what we need to do one night. We need to do the casting the MCU, like a fantasy casting. Like I could throw pictures up on the screen for different characters, and we could just decide who we would cast as them. Because that would be fun. But oh yeah, as far as X-Men, I mean you can run through. No, you can run the gambit on that as far as the X-Men, pun intended. That's a really bad pun. I'd probably close the channel after that one. But I mean, Rogue. I mean, you're introducing Captain Marvel, so now you can introduce Rogue, in the right way. And Channing Tatum, that's the guy. Whoa, sorry about that. Well, bro, I think it's just me and you now. I think we've run everybody off. That'd be fun. I might try to put that together. Just do a slideshow for it and pull it up and start doing fantasy castings. I got some news on that Loki series that's supposed to be coming out on Disney Plus, but I think I'll save that for later. I read an article about it. It's maybe not everything we thought it would be. So, but man, yeah, I guess it's 11:30 here. I guess I need to get to sleep. I got to be up early tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out, bro. Hope you have a good one. And yeah, man, definitely thank you for. Is the Cowboys game over? Oh, sorry, Maverick. I didn't know you're still in here. I thought it was just me and Stack Skills. But hey, yeah, man. Hey, Maverick, come back sometimes. I'm gonna try to do this more often, and definitely appreciate you talking, man. It was a lot of fun. But I'm gonna go click the. Oh, bummer. Well, that's it for him then. Well, hey, you guys have a good one. Take care, be safe, and hopefully I'll be chatting with you soon. Later.